Take a farmer,
a photographer,
and a teenage girl,
buy a bus,
add a dog,
and let the adventure begin.
Welcome to O'Neill's On the Run Life in a Bus, and this week we are episode 5. We are conquering all things the build this week and next episode as well. But just a quick little recap. So episode 3, we done our out west trip. We sort of got a little taste for bus life and a little bit of an idea on how we're going to use the space when we lived in it. And then Ep 4, we sort of went off course a little, and we had a little bit of chat to Ali about the teen perspective of living in the bus and buying a bus and what she thought, which was pretty much her parents had gone bonkers. This week, the ins and outs of the build.
Right out. Well, where do you want to start? I think you should probably start with what you did inside. Well, I suppose we pulled it all out once we got back from our trip.
I thought we'd talk a little bit more specifics, like the bus, the technical systems,
Right out.
But
Well,
we did gut it, I guess, in stages. So we kept it usable because that was something that we were really mindful of. We didn't know when we were going to go on a trip or whatever. So we tried to keep it usable as we gutted it out. So we did it in stages, which was probably slower, but kept it functional.
Yeah, that's right. I think, and the other thing was there was a lot of stuff already in the bus. So there was already a 12-volt system into the bus. So we used a lot of that pre-existing wiring and that when we're putting in our new points and whatnot, which was already in, but it took a while to work it out. But once I worked it out, it seems to work pretty well.
Yeah. So, and I guess listener questions this week too, before I forget, was come from Facebook, and they wanted to know the buy price of our bus and the build cost total. So we bought it for 28, but as Tom was just saying, it was done. Like, it was usable, functionable. It just wasn't for us.
No, that's right. Well, the system he had put in was, I think there's 800 watts of solar on the roof plus about it halves when it's a 24-volt system, so it halves your amp hours. So we're about 250 amp hours of battery life in the back in 24 volt.
That's what we had when we bought it, and then we've spent about 15,000 to do the renovations. That's everything from a $2,000 awning, brand new fridges, tires, all the fit out, all the kitchen cabinetry, all the appliances, all the tech, paint, screws, a million rivets, and a carton of Sikaflex. So yeah, we're about 28. We were 28 to buy, and we're 15 all in for complete all the renovations we'd done up until we hit the road full time.
Yeah, plus a bit here and there. We haven't spent a lot since we've been on the road. Probably new batteries.
The biggest expense since we've been on the road was doing the Predator tow system to flat tow, but we're going to do that, I think, a whole episode because there was quite a bit involved in the towing setup system.
Yeah, that's right.
And where we ended up and how we ended up in the decision we ended up. So I guess we'll go back to the power system Tom started talking about. So the solar panels, what have we got on the roof?
800 watt.
In 4 solar panels. And then that comes down, and we're 24. No,
it charges a 24-volt system, which I've since found out you have to hook your panels up in 24 volts. So I thought I had problems when we were in Bowen with the system not charging off the solar. And I since found out that it was the pre-existing DC-DC charger that wasn't allowing the solar to charge into the batteries. And since I've replaced the DC-DC charger with an MPPT, so it's just solar, and then we have a 30-watt 240-volt, which charges it when we're not charging off solar.
Yeah, it's pretty tech heavy. He gets me lost when he starts talking about this stuff.
And I had Hellzone. I've got a couple of foldable panels that I was trying to charge to work out whether it was the solar panels, but I couldn't get them to charge until I hooked them in series like you do with the batteries to charge 24 volt. And since I've been doing a lot of reading on it, you can put more charge and have more solar watts into a 24-volt system than a 12-volt system, which allows us to have more batteries and a lot more holding. So the batteries, we have 4 batteries, and they're just linked together. So 2 in sequence, hooked to 24-volt, which are hooked to another 2, which are in sequence, hooked to 24-volt.
And then when we bought the bus, we had deep cycle, the standard deep cycle batteries. They're 150 amp hour.
125.
125 amp hours. And until recently, that system's worked pretty well. We did have a battery that dropped a cell.
Yeah, well, you tested them all when it was charged and everything was working. But since I pulled those batteries out the other day, I've noticed that one's gone, 3 is still on 12.8 volts, and one's dropped to 9, which means that battery was stuffed. So I think that was a lot of our problems with the system, was that battery was dropped. So as soon as you put any pressure on the system, it drops a percentage of what your batteries have got in it pretty quickly.
Yeah, so for quite a while the system was all good, and then all of a sudden it just started being not as effective as it was, and we think it was that battery coming to the end.
Yeah, that's right. So the DC charger was a problem, and once I worked that out, and then we got the batteries, which now we put lithium in, which are 120 amp hours, which 4 by, which is because they're hooked as 24-volt, which only gives me 240 amp hours, which is, I don't know how that works, but once I've got all that set up, it seemed to be right, and we've just got it charging on the solar nearly solely now. Just the only time it really struggles and drains down is when you have a hot day and the sun's on the side the fridge is on, which it really just runs full time.
So literally we've just changed from the deep cycle to the lithium maybe a month ago now at the max, maybe not even that much.
No, yeah, to be that much. I mean, it's run on solar pretty much solid now.
Yeah, so we're functioning 24/7 on solar. The only thing not running on solar is my PC, which is a large one for my photo editing and making podcasts and things. Coffee machine for the good old morning coffee, and
just any 240 volt.
Oh, and no, because we run some of it through the inverters. So, and then the air fryer and the aircon, they're all on 240 volt, but everything else is running through like an inverter or a 12-volt system.
Yeah, so everything's like 12 volt in the bus, so which means I've got to convert it back from 24 volts. So I've got 3, I think there's 3 converters in underneath that convert it back to 12 volt.
Yeah, so we go solar into batteries into converters, and then inverters for all the 240 volt stuff. It does get a little bit
the only inverter that we use mainly is the one on the TV at the back.
All the time on the TV, and then I've got one in my utilities cupboard that I use to charge like the Dyson vacuum cleaner and things like that, and the range hood when we put that on.
And then we also have a 200 watt one under there if we're completely off the grid to run the coffee machine.
Yeah.
And whatnot.
Starling.
And the Starling.
And then so monitoring that, we have a monitoring unit down in our battery section. Our batteries are stored behind the back wheel, between the back wheel and the engine on the passenger side in that last bay.
Yeah, which I used to thought we had a lot of weight on that side until I removed the 4 AGM batteries, which each weigh 50 kilos each. And
new lithiums are 12 kilos each, so we've just saved about 160 kilos.
Yeah, which has made a big difference on that back side of the bus where it had 200 kilos of weight sitting over the back axle.
It literally lifted the suspension like 2 inches straight away. Yeah,
that's right.
So what's the monitoring system at the back?
Just the system on the back is just an MPPT, which just is the charger, and you can just monitor through there. It's only a 20 amp one at the moment, which later on I'll get a 30 amp and put in there, but I've just got a 20 amp there one at the moment.
And Kings, it can't go past Kings. We should be sponsored by Kings.
The batteries were $380 or something for 120
amp hour, which is the cheapest we've seen in ages. So we just jumped on those real quick.
Yeah.
And then inside, when we were building the cabinetry and things inside the bus, we put in a little a little monitor. It's like a little tiny little LCD screen, and it's cut into one of the cabinets, so we can actually check the battery levels from pretty much right beside our bed, which is handy just to keep an eye on when you're inside. We don't have to go outside, look at the monitor, open the hatch. We can just literally look beside the bed for a bit of an it's probably not super accurate. It's only a cheap little one, but it is sort of a convenient way to monitor it.
Yeah, that's right. I can just have a quick look in the morning, and if something's not right, we can start the generator up or something and charge it up if we've used a lot more overnight. Like we said, it's usually the hot weather seems to be the one that you chew a lot of power.
Yeah, definitely, because all the fridges run all the time, the fans are going all the time. Like, it just seems to.
Yeah, I think it's something we've probably got to look at is putting like a screen on that side just to cover that fridge. I think you see a lot of people do it where they're facing the western sun, they put covers on their van or on their bus or something just to save that sun. That seems to be the hottest sun.
Yeah. Everywhere you can't get the airflow through, it seems to be hot. But also, if you can park, so the morning sun's hitting the back window and the setting sun's hitting the front, and we put the blinds down, it minimizes the heat because it's not hitting on the sides of the bus. So if you have the chance to set up, you can't always dictate terms in a caravan park and things, but if you have the chance to set up when it's hot, you put your back window to the east and your front of the bus to the west, and then it minimizes the heat hitting the side of the bus. But then on the flip side, if it's cold and you want it to warm up, you park the other way around, so that morning sun hits the side and the afternoon sun hits the other side, and then it warms the bus space up. So you can manipulate your situation to a degree to sort of control that air. And the other thing is we use our roof hatches. We left the hatches in, and I manipulate those to catch the breeze a lot, because that just movement of air makes such a huge difference to the temperature inside.
Yeah, that's right. Especially in the afternoons, you can notice the difference between inside the bus and outside the bus.
Yeah, and I guess the whole point of living in a bus is a more outside lifestyle. So when it's stinking hot in the bus, we just go outside, we sit in the shade, we go for a swim. And that's part of the lifestyle, isn't it? Like that, just being more outside.
Yeah, that's right.
So carrying on from power, is there anything else? Oh, we haven't talked about 240 system yet.
The 240 was already in when we boosted the bus. I think there is 3 PowerPoint outlets inside the bus.
Yeah.
One at the back, which runs I've got 2 chargers because the start battery is separate. So every time I'm on 240, it just kicks up and charges the start battery. And the other one's just onto the house battery, onto the bus battery.
It's not a house. Don't have a house anymore. And then we also run the King's 3 kVA. Oh, that was me moving the chair. Sorry. The 3 kVA generator. We started with a 2.5 kVA generator. Wouldn't run the air conditioner well, so we've gone to the 3.
Yeah, and I've just put it in the back, one of the back ports near the motor, and it's just on a fridge slide that comes in and out. So as soon as I want to use it, it's all hooked up. I just pull it out outside so it's in fresh air, kick it up, and away it goes.
And super durable. I mean, it's in a pretty dusty, hot spot, bounces along back there. It starts pretty well, knock on wood, now that we've said that.
Yeah, that's right. And you might see it on the side of the road one day, because I did put it in there, so
it might fall out
the back.
Tom's dodgy weld and just pops out the bottom or something, but hopefully that won't really happen. But yeah, once the Jenny's on, it's just literally like plugging in a power. Plug one end into the Jenny, one end into the 240 port that we have for the mains power to come in, and then we're back to on 240. So our 240 volt charges the start battery, as Tom was saying. It runs the power points inside, but it also can charge our solar system.
Yeah, just hook on. There's a 30 amp charger just straight onto the solar battery.
So it's all a pretty sort of complex. It is a bit complex, but it all sort of works really. So we got the sort of the Jenny, the 240, the solar, and that all sort of meshing together to make it usable in all sorts of weather and solar conditions.
Yeah, that's right. And when you're if you're doing a build, when you're doing it, the only thing I recommend is putting in a lot of 12 volt fans. Because if you're not on power and you don't want to run or you're at a place you don't want to run a generator, it's amazing how much air those 12 volt fans can push around if you get them in the right spot.
Yeah, so we started with the 12-inch Adventurer fans, a couple of those, and they're great, but we've just...
Audi pickup.
Audi pickups, they were fabulous, but we've just gone to Sirocco after hearing all the good things about Sirocco, and I tell you what, they're probably worth the cost. Hideously expensive for a fan, but they do pump a lot of air around.
Yeah, and it works great when you've got the air conditioner and that on, just to push the air around where you want it.
So I guess I wasn't going to cover air conditioning on this episode, but while we're here, we might as well. We have a portable air conditioner. It's a little DeLonghi one, got it from Bunnings. It cools the back of the bus down quite tolerably. Even on a 40-degree day, it gets it down to sort of low to mid-20s down there. So it does make a huge difference. It doesn't cool the whole bus. But in saying that, through the heat of the day, we can all go down there and watch a movie or whatever and get out of the heat should we need to. So for our situation, it works.
Yeah, that's right.
Tom probably would like it a little bit colder.
Correct.
for us, really, but it just designed to take the edge off during the heat of the day, and that's exactly what it does. It all just rolls into a little purpose-built cupboard for when we're traveling, but $600 solution, and we find it's pretty effective.
Yeah, I've heard some, the ones in the roof don't quite work. You got to have one here and one there, and then you got to get it all wired in and whatnot. So we just went with the portable because the power point's already there.
And then, yeah, we sort of looked at like a house split system, but where do you put parts and things?
Yeah,
and...
I couldn't mount the outside box anywhere. I couldn't find anywhere because our engine at the back is rear mount, and I've got to lift up the back bit to get in there.
So we didn't want to put it there.
So I couldn't put it there, and that's where a lot of people put it. So and
we didn't want to take a window out, so we didn't want it there because a lot of people put it on that back window wall when they take the glass out, and we like our glass, so we've kept that in. So yeah, we actually bought a secondhand system, but we just couldn't really make it work effectively. So
no, not at all.
And I guess power-wise, it's probably turned out for the best.
Yeah.
Following on from our power system, I guess we should talk about the bus itself. So it's a 1987 Mercedes. It's a 1306.
1316.
Oh, it's close. We are Tassie Rego. And we are 11.4 metres long, 3.2 high, and 2.45 wide. We are roughly, I think, was it 11.5 tonnes when we went over the pits?
I was 13 with the trailer on.
Towing a trailer with motorbikes, yeah. Mechanically, pretty sound when we bought it. They'd just done the kingpins in it. So
in the front, they've done the kingpin bearings. All the bearings and that have been done in the front, and all I've had done is have it serviced twice, and I've had all the gearbox and diff oils changed,
and the cooling system flushed.
Which they did. Took them a fair while, but they got it done.
Now we were based in Tamworth, so Tamworth, big country centre. Got a lot of diesel mechanics. Are used to fixing. There's it's a good place to be getting big mechanical kind of stuff like this done because they're familiar with this kind of machinery.
So they fixed the first time I took it in for a service, they fixed it, or the second time, I can't remember. They fixed it, and I went round to get a shower screen fitted where a mate works at, and half back out onto the road, and it stopped. And then they come around and fixed it, and if you replace your fuel filters, just remember to place your copper washers.
Yeah. So we stored in the middle of the road, but that was the mechanic's fault, and they were really good, and they come and sorted that out for us. Just a little thing. Probably blame the apprentice.
That should have been done.
Should have been done, but we'll blame the apprentice on that one. I think was what happened there. But yeah, really, knock on wood, she's been pretty solid and sound, pretty reliable. Doesn't like starting in the cold weather too much, but as long as you're above 2 or 3 degrees, she kicks over pretty well, but she doesn't like the cold.
No, not overly.
I don't like the cold either. Don't blame it. And we've been pretty reliable. We get comments actually because she looks like a bit of a rust bucket on the outside, and you kick it over after a couple of weeks, and people are like, "Wow, it just fired up like my Land Cruiser." And we don't really have a problem, doesn't sit there and whine and grumble. We just keep her on up.
It spits a little bit of oil out the back. Maybe, we come down from Bowen, I think I spat 3 litres out the back. But it holds
3,000 k's.
But it holds 23 litres, so that's in the scheme of stuff. It's not that bad. And at least everything's getting lubed.
Yeah. Yeah, she does have a bit of a, old diesel engine cloud of smoke every now and again, but I don't know how many Ks on the clock because I don't think the odometer's been working the whole time it's been in bus service. But what does it say about 600,000?
500.
500,000. There you go. I feel like it's probably done more than that in its life. We've done just over 6,500 in it ourselves, so we're fairly familiar with it now. And what do you foresee anything coming up that we've got to do? We've got to do wheel bearings.
Yeah, rear wheel bearings, but they're not hot. They're never hot when I pull over and check them. So I just make a note when I pull over. I get out because I've got to pull over every 200, 250 k's to start the ute up and just get the oil moving in it if we're towing. And then I'll walk around and I check all the wheel bearing heats and looking for anything, around just, stuff from what you'll remember from driving trucks back in the day. Just
So,
get out
yeah.
and check everything because it makes a big difference. I know I've been in trucks and got out before and you check everything and go, geez, that wheel bearing's hot. And then you get back and she's just about falling off because it's loose.
So, yeah, Tom coming from that truck driving background, farming, it's very handy to have him and his big vehicle knowledge when we're driving. So, look, if you're going to do it and you're not comfortable with big vehicles and you haven't driven big vehicles, just go and clock up some hours. Go and find someone with a truck. Go and do something. Just get a feel for it all.
Just send it. It's
Just
the only
send it.
way you're going to learn.
I'm nervous nearly driving it. Not because of the size of it, but because it's my whole entire house. And if I crash it, I ruin my house as well as my vehicle. So that makes me more nervous. It's a head game thing. But I am licensed to drive it. It just makes me hella nervous.
You'd be right. Just send it.
Just send it. Yeah, that's great. And we're already blasting through the time here today. And so I guess the last thing we'll cover this week in the podcast is the tech systems. So we are quite tech heavy. You've got myself running a photography business, CJO Photography and Printing. So I've got the big monitor, the big tower PC. Laptops don't really cut it. So I've got the big editing system. We've got a teenager doing HSC online. So there is laptop. Tom's on the iPad, just mainly watching cricket and reels. He doesn't look real happy now. We run 2 smart TVs and 3 phones, so we are quite tech heavy. We started live with the Netgear Nighthawk with the booster aerial, and it did okay, but it wasn't fabulous. It's on the Telstra network. There were spots up the East Coast where that just wasn't even functional.
Yeah, that's right. And if you want to hear a teenager meltdown, have crappy internet.
Yeah, yeah. You can just about count it. The internet goes out in 3, 2, 1. Oh, she's pulling a similar face right now
That's it.
because
World
we're
War
talking
Three
about it.
start.
So yeah,
You got to have good internet for TikTok.
and schoolwork, but we're getting ignored by the teenager right now. So about early October, we made the change to Starlink. It is $174 a month, so it is a bit more expensive.
Plus your hardware cost.
Plus our hardware was $6.99, I think, or $5.99. Can't remember now. One or the other. It is fantabulous and fast, and we can run all the above mentioned devices without any lag or problem. We can stream on everything. No more schooling lag with the online schooling programs that she was running, and it meets all of our business requirements because uploading photos and things for me is quite big files, so I did need more gigabytes than we were getting through the Nighthawk. And then price-wise, we've all just changed our phones to Boost Mobile and gone on the yearly plan. So we've sort of had one-out payments of about $300 per phone for the year. And then, so we won't have a monthly phone bill from here on out, and just the monthly Starlink of $164. So I think that'll be easier to manage sort of long term too.
You'd hope so.
Yeah, got a lot to say about that. Do you want to add anything about technology?
No, not really.
He loves it. He doesn't like talking about it.
Yeah, it just cost me a fortune because I keep smashing my phones.
Yeah, well, Tom's
I
on
did my last day at work before we left. I was trying to get out of the road of a cow and had it in my back pocket and rolled the screen. And then since then, I dropped it again when we were in Bowen, got it replaced, dropped it in an effluent pond, had to get it pulled apart. And then once we got to Newcastle, I've gone again, smashed it again, and I've just bought a $300 phone because I'm not putting any more $400 screens on.
because someone might be sick of expensive phones and expensive screens. So we've gone for hopefully an indestructible and somewhat cheaper to replace Motorola.
Maybe.
Maybe we'll see. It'll be broken. Give him another month, and we'll be reviewing another phone. So rightio. Anything else you want to add on this one? Wait.
No, not that I can think about. Just what else can we add? If anybody out there doing the bus life, travelling around, working, anything like that, if you'd love to have a chat, we could do it over Zoom or something, and record a podcast and maybe put it out together. Or if anybody wants to do anything like that, please hit us up.
Yeah, so if you'd like to have a chat about doing a conversion or the conversion you've done, bus lifing, how you're making money on the road, anything that's sort of relevant, we'd love to have a chat. So send us a message, make contact, and we'll Zoom link you in, and we can have a little bit of a chat on the pod. I know I've got a couple of families, bus lifing families, that are keen to come and have a chat to us in the near future. So we'll get them going. And so if you're interested, you want to have a chat about anything really, bus life or travelling Australia, make contact and we'll get you on and have a chat about it all. And I think that's us for this
Is
week
that it?
done.
Oh, I reckon since the last podcast we recorded, we got to wish Candace a happy 40th birthday, haven't we?
Oh yeah, we could probably organise you a 40th birthday too. But
No, mine was a long time ago.
yeah, I did turn 40 just recently, and Tom took me hot air ballooning, and it was special. It was amazing. So
That's right. Might put up a photo, or she might have put up a video or something we had when we popped through the clouds and saw the sunset. Was probably
sunrise.
the best bit of it.
Yeah. Tom bitched about the price, but I think it was worth every penny. So that was a pretty cool. If I have to be 40, I'm doing something cool kind of moment, and yeah, worth every penny. Really loved it. So thanks for that
Yeah,
birthday
that's right.
shout out.
And
Tom.
might be a license to print money, I reckon.
You reckon? Yeah. He was trying to add up how many people were in the basket and how much they'd all paid to be there and what their running costs were. So his little business brain was going 10 to the dozen.
Yeah, license to print money. And you're done by 7 o'clock.
And you finish work by 7 a.m. So that was pretty cool. Rightio, I think that's us for the week. Next week, we're going to continue on the same sort of thing. We're going to look at plumbing systems, towing systems, appliances. We're going to get into all that a little bit more. So we're just going to sort of, instead of going step by step through the build, I thought we'd just sort of bang out some of the detail about the build. So we'll keep on doing with that for now, because for 18 months, pretty much this is all we've done, and I don't think you need to listen to a blow by blow every time I sanded the roof glue or popped in a rivet. So we'll just hit through a lot of the specs, I think, for the next episode again.
Right out, and we'll see you all next time.
See ya. Make sure you follow us on all the social media channels at O'Neill's on the Run, and tune in regularly to come along with us on this crazy adventure.